So Barcelona to Dakar, the numbers were big. 463 race vehicles plus 224 assistance trucks, the biggest armada yet. 9,309 kilometers with 5,333 specials along the way. Spain, Morocco, Mauritania, Mali and Senegal in all. So the streets of Barcelona, a bit of a party atmosphere. And the first stage was to be won by Cyril Desprez. Africa beckoned though, and we were glad to get underway. KTM Armada as massive as ever. Alfie Cox and the rest of the riders looking forward to the action. So the majority of riders competing with KTM, in addition to the main battle, there was a sub-battle, if you like, the blue KTM against the orange. For the blues, it was Cyril Desprez, Alfie Cox and Fabrizio Meoni. On board the orange team, Marc Coma, Esteban Puyol and Giovanni Sala. Well, because everyone was on the same bike, they were very, very closely matched in the opening stages of this one. Everyone was keeping an eye on each other as well, let's not forget that. So kicking up a storm they were, but everyone keeping tabs on everyone else. KTM's everywhere, the only official Yamaha rider, David Frétinier. Well, he won the first stage in Barcelona and on stage 3, I should say. Frétinier confirmed his domination on these very short specials. Just 10 kilometers from it was stage 3. Alfie Cox was in there as well. Frétinier taking stage 7 as well on his way. 6th win in all, 2nd win in Africa, and in the end he was to finish 5th overall in this one. Frétinier always looking very cool. One of the stalwarts of the rally now. Always one to watch. Spared us a few words as well. Well, I just like to let them look for the road. I don't want to show them the right way. I know it in my head. And occasionally they'll go off on the left. I'll let them go, just sit there, watch them. I'm very confident. I prefer to count on myself instead of relying on others. Probably the best way. Marc Coma is the leader of the orange crew. Ability to fight for the title, most certainly. Esteban Puyol also there, helping his teammates. The water carrier, if you like, but also won a stage, the 9th between Tajika and Attar. They all stay together just in case anybody has a problem. They can all help each other out. It's what teammates are supposed to be about. And when you're on the bikes, you need all the friends you can get. Fabrizio Meoni, one of the most experienced riders on the rally, always pushing, always maintaining the pressure on Desprez in the battle for the title. He attacks on every single stage, catches up Alnes Ulivaceta, who started earlier than him on this day. Meoni doesn't respect the invisible corridor, however, just drifting too wide of the line they were supposed to follow. Picked up a 2-minute penalty as a result, and he was angry about it. Cyril Desprez didn't need any help from the marshals. He had a comfortable lead on Meoni more than 9 minutes after stage 10. French rider just controlling matters. Sadly for us, some of the last shots of Meoni alongside Oliver Seta. Well, Cyrus Desprez won stage 10 comfortably. Meoni still pushing to try and catch up the minutes he'd lost. And some wonderful scenery through the villages as well. Cyrus Desprez then went on to win stage 10 comfortably, as we said. And unfortunately, stage 10 was to see this year's first death. Jose Manuel Perez. He participated in 2002, again in 03-04, and of course 05 was to be his last. He fell hard between Zouerat and Tichit. He was transferred to hospital in Dakar before a relay to Spain at Alicante, where sadly he died. Meoni was to follow. Yes, the following day on stage 11, a horrible fall. His death was kept from everybody until the bivouac that evening. Meoni, 47 years of age. He won the rally in 01 and 02, and he was one of the most liked, respected and admired competitors. His death shook everybody out there. Huge man, great competitor, upset everyone. I remember shedding tears myself. Well, the riders from Blue KTM wrote Fabrizio Meoni's name on their bikes. They were determined to carry it all the way to Dakar. They themselves were carried as well. Yeah, there was to be some tough stages out there. The weather did close in, and there was a bit of an airlift involved on this year. Next step, Senegal was in the offing. It was getting a little bit more verdant, a little bit damper on occasion, as you can see. They were going it. Desprez winning the 15th stage, but only 3 minutes over Coma. They were the battles towards the end. And in Dakar, Desprez decided, or dedicated, I should say, his win to Fabrizio Meoni. And of course, Richard Sykes, who'd been lost on the Faroes back in September, ahead of this one. So to the first stage in Africa for the cars between Rabat and Agadir. Just one question on everyone's mind: could anyone beat Mitsubishi out there? A new version of the Pajero had been developed. Will it be as good as the old one? Peder Hansel had a few problems early on. Flat tyres, though, were all his concern. Huge challenge was also on the cards. Mitsubishi, well, they were looking over their shoulder just a little bit. Volkswagen kept the same design but developed it, improved reliability. And of course, there was always Schlesser to contend with. Nissan also in the frame, and the odd BMW out there too. Luc Alphond for the opening part of the rally, and the Mitsubishi. Yes, the crew just asking him to maintain the Japanese firm towards the top of the standings. He did his best. Hiroshi Matsuoka had already lost time overall due to mechanical problems. On-stage repairs pushed him 4 hours down. Andrea Meyer, also problems with tyres. Sebastian Peder Hansel also wasn't well. So I feel a bit sick yesterday, had a big cold in the morning, and when I accelerated I realised that my concentration just wasn't there, so I've had to slow down a little bit. Well, profiting from Mitsubishi's problems, both Nissan and Volkswagen were here with huge challenges. They wanted to attack. Guido Kleinschmidt for Volkswagen, proving he can still make mistakes when you're pushing too hard. Colin McRae, the Scot, on his Nissan, said he had one of the biggest hits of his career out there, and he'd had a few. Ouch. couldn't continue, just couldn't see straight. The Dassault team lost Shinazuka after his car rolled on the 7th stage. Shinazuka evacuated by a helicopter. His co-driver Pascal Maimont suffering from neck and back trouble. Well, Robbie Gordon was also out there for Volkswagen. Everything was okay for the team, but the car was destroyed after 2 tries to repair the vehicle. Gordon waiting for assistance at the end of the afternoon. He'd already taken 1 victory, first stage win for an American in a car as well. So Jutta Kleinschmidt was left out there to make the push to try and beat the Mitsubishis. Kept the same car from the previous year. It was very competitive. The development seemed to be working. On stage 6, Sami finished 3rd and took the lead despite mechanical problems, but handed that leadership back to Peder Hansel. Peder Hansel taking stage 14 and also the last one. Jutta Kleinschmidt trying to keep in touch with those Mitsus, but problems there were for just about everybody on this rally. It was a tough one. As ever, navigation proving absolutely crucial out there. Stefan Peder Hansel though and Luc Alphond. Luc moving over from BMW to Mitsubishi. These 2 drivers could not have been closer. And in fact the team said, listen lads, you're just going to have to hold position for this year because otherwise you're going to take each other out. Such was the competition within the team. Petter, top dog. Alphond playing a protective role in the end. They weren't protecting the riders though. Pushing it, oh yes. Peder Hansel heading for victory ahead of Alphond. Jutta Kleinschmidt on the podium though. Tremendous effort by her, and of course for Volkswagen. Nissan getting close with de Villiers finishing in 4th place. First experience of Spaniard Nani Roma on 4 wheels with Mitsubishi. Managed a 4th place on stage 13, his best result in the cars. On board with Ari Vatanen.
200 first kilometers, not so good, but now it's fantastic.
If there's ever a man who just loves what he does in life and feels completely blessed just to be here, it's Ari Vatanen. Stopping to offer help, thinking about it, then thinking, this is a bit soft, and then digging himself in. But always with a smile by the end of the day. What a guy. The Nissan of Giniel de Villiers after McRae's retirement and the problems for Vatanen. De Villiers was the last hope.
No.
He finished in 4th. It was a great effort by the South African. Jose Luis Monterde on board the BMW. Well, their target was to finish in the top 10. That's exactly what he did. Finished in 9th. Good for him. It was supposed to all be about Nasser Al-Attiyah, but he crashed early on, losing any chance of a podium. And Jean-Louis Schlecher this year competing with a new buggy, occasionally battling with Peder Hansel. And on stage 7, needed to stop the car, wait for assistance, and he waited an awful long time, all afternoon in fact, and decided he'd had enough, withdrew. Sometimes waiting can be the worst thing. We'll be back with more after this break. There's no doubt about it, the biggest stage on the rally was Suerat to Tichit. It was almost impossible out there, the biggest test of this event. Well, restricted to 20 litres, says Cyril Desprez of fuel, and we just can't finish the special with that. It's off stand. We've done 400 kilometres, we've got 260 left. Yes, that's right, a special of 660 on this day. So the consumption is 15 litres per 100 kilometres. So with 20, we're going to run out. And they did. The stage was a nightmare, particularly for the riders. Lots of bikes pulled out of it. Well, conditions were so difficult that some competitors just preferred to withdraw. And you know what? Even the broom wagon was to get stuck. This, the truck, see the brushes? If you see that, it's over. Stick your bike on the back, go home. Better Hansel himself saying, I think it's one of the most difficult specials that I've ever done. The first part of the special was great because it was quick, but the last 250 kilometers, there was a lot of camel grass and it was very, very long. And we all watched the sunset out there. And indeed, night did come, and there was an awful lot of damage to be found there under the spotlights. Those that did make it to the bivouac usually came in very late, and there was a lot who had to sleep out there. Luc Alphonse, one of those home after a long, long day. For the riders, the situation was even worse. It was crazy. The organisers knew it was. And so the following day just became a liaison day, just to try and give everybody a break. Some just couldn't even face eating, they just went straight to sleep if they got there. Other competitors, as you can see, wrapped themselves up in foil and slept next to their machines. Well, I've not got any GPS in the dark at night, and I've still got 360 kilometers to do, she said. Well, even top-name drivers got stuck in the middle of the desert. Ari Vatanen needed a tow. Well, so many competitors were late. Horrible conditions as well. The wind blew up and the sandstorm began, and the medical helicopters couldn't get airborne. And so, the following day was annulled. They still had to get all the way to Tichit, though. Can't move, said Patrick Zanaroli. Going to wait half an hour, 45 minutes. Maybe with the sun it'll get better, but it didn't. Well, those that made it to Tichit still had to go on to Tajika. So it was annulled. 90 bikes, 53 cars, 25 trucks are not here, the announcement was.
53 voitures et 25 camions.
An awful lot of metal left out in the desert. Helicopters were dispatched to try and find them. Some were alone, some were waiting with others, some were taking a rest. A lot of them just trying to restart. So that windstorm in the night really taking its toll. They spoke of it.
La nuit, l'enfer.
The night, a nightmare. This is a tempest. It's too much. It's cold as well, rain, horrible, he says. Everybody tried to find a solution to get to Tajika. Some made it by themselves, others needed help. There was an awful lot of teamwork out there. As they'd been annulled, extra help was allowed.
It's tough because each leg is very, very, very long, and you lose a lot of energies, and you lose concentration, and that's the way, because the car is so hard. It's really the last adventure in this world.
Gerardus de Roy, the Dutchman. Out there to win a couple of stages, 12 and 13, as usual. He was out there with Daddy Jan, who had big mechanical troubles in 2005. Pushing all the way, the monsters of the desert, kicking up dust as ever, almost getting into each other. Firidis Kabirov on board his Kamaz, taking stage 10, leading until the end of the rally and giving Kamaz their 6th title, equaling that of Tatra's in team titles taken. Chegin was victorious on stage 4, where he took the lead. Had his problems though. And the flip over of the truck of Gerardus de Roy, not helping matters either for the Dutchman. Yes, Chegin losing his title chances due to fuel problems between Zouerat and Tichit, which seemed unfair. Meanwhile, Hans Becks won the opening stage and stage 3, but the FIA made a decision about some technical infringements and he was declared null and void. Meanwhile, Sugawara on board Danino, 2nd place to the Japanese. No stage wins, but very consistent. And 3rd place going to Giacomo Vismara. Vismara in the Mercedes. The Ino, the cutest truck on the rally, and has been for many years, almost pocket size. Gerard de Roy and Daddy finishing 4 and 5. "25 tons of love," they say. So to the last stage, and well, it had been a difficult rally. 2 deaths had kind of hung like a black cloud over it. Some very harsh conditions as well. It had been a bit disjointed, and so the celebration down the beach was just, well, muted, frankly. There was a lot of tears at the end as well. And when it finally came to the bikes, Desprez burst into tears as he came across the line, looking up to the sky and dedicating it, of course, to Mione. Desprez, Alfie Cox, Jean Brucy, the 1, 2, 3. Peter Hansel bringing in the cars. And in fact, I'm just checking my results. It was Desprez, Coma and Cox, of course. Mark Coma, so apologies for that. Yes, Stefan Peter Hansel bossing it. Alfond in 2nd ahead of Jude Kleinschmidt, who had, well, was absolutely delighted, and so were Volkswagen, to be on the podium. Well, you know the results from the trucks. Kabirov taking it. Biggest trucks, biggest flag, biggest smile perhaps.